Hello communications class, I'm Russell Troker and today I'm going to show you how I make a cup of coffee from start to finish. Everything I'm about to tell you is given credit to this book right here, Craft Coffee by Jessica Esto. This book is for the coffee snobs out there, for anyone that wants to know about anything from the Chemex, which is what we're going to be doing today, down to a French press, down to drip coffee. It tells you the breakdown of anything from the brewing control chart, even up to different grind references, which we'll talk about here in a second, and even so much as temperature and why that's so important for your water. And specifically, I'm going to be using what she recommends for the Chemex right here. So first off, just to save a little time, I have my water going, and water's important because obviously it's about 98 to 99% of where coffee gets its flavor. And biggest thing is not having any minerals or insoluble things, so distilled water you can't use. Well, you could, but it'd be a bad cup of coffee because it wouldn't have any of the minerals or calcium, any of those things. And as far as choosing the grind, right here I have a Cuisinart grinder. It's a conical burr, which means the grinder itself forces the beans down into a cone and grinds them like that through this thread right here, through the threaded screw. And you can adjust the grinds a lot more precise depending on what you want to use, whether it's drip coffee in a standard coffee machine, or it's a Chemex or a French press. All of those typically have different size grinds, versus just a plain old grinder right here is a little more inconsistent because the blade here, one, not being very sharp, but two, it's just a flat edge hitting that bean and basically just kind of exploding it. It's just consistently inconsistent. So, without further ado, we'll start grinding. And right here, I'm using Starbucks' House Blend Medium Roast. It's just a good middle-of-the-road coffee. It's about $6 a bag, but with the brew ratio for my Chemex is about 1 to 16. 1 gram of coffee for every 16 grams of water. Now that that's starting to boil, we can start grinding. So, I'll just load up here. It's important to use a measuring device, just for one, to be a little more precise, but if you don't, here it's about half a cup. Half a cup of whole beans, or about 31 grams that I'm going to be grinding for my water, which is about 16 ounces. So we can just put it in here. Turn it to medium fine. I had to get my hand on top of this because I broke this a couple days ago and I'm still waiting on a replacement part. So now we got the grinds here. Now we can use the filter, and for the filter for the Chemex, I'm using actual Chemex filters. They're a square paper finer, a lot finer than just a standard drip coffee. What that in turn does is hold on to a lot of the oils and a lot of the soluble parts of the coffee that you grind. So you're not going to get a lot of sludge, you're not going to get a lot of bitter, sort of astringent notes on whatever coffee you end up grinding. So really bang for your buck when you get to this. And they're relatively cheap. For this set of 100 filters, equals out to about 19 cents per filter. So, here I did, I kind of just shoved it in here. That swirl kind of forms around that cone. And since you got the water here, without putting any grinds in, you wet the filter just a touch, just to make an easier, sort of a semi-permeable membrane between the filter and your eventual grounds are going to be in here. So now I got that wet, I can discard this water, and then I can put the grounds in. So now the water's empty and the filter is just wetted. Now we can put our grinds in here, making sure to level it out. Getting all that dust and everything right there, leveling it out. And for this first part, you just don't want to dump everything in. Right now, you want to just barely saturate all the grinds right here. It's what's called blooming. You blooming the coffee to release the gases because carbon dioxide in and of itself can be just a tad bittery and, as the book says, astringent. So we're just going to bloom that, and blooming your coffee is another way to ensure that it's a fresh batch, which again, that's why most people tend to go with whole beans, because when you grind them, it's a lot fresher than just straight pre-ground coffee. You can tell with the bloom. So right here, we're just putting barely a little bit, just hopefully not even enough just to drip. Trying to get the angle there. And that can take anywhere from about 30 seconds to 45 seconds. And the blooming finally stopped dissipating. So now I can just add the water, and I'm going in the middle. If this was the middle of the grounds here, I'm just doing small concentric circles about the size of a nickel around the inner part of it, just still forcing that cone of coffee to be just more consistent, so I'm not over extracting or under extracting certain parts of the bean. And it should be noted that that's the reason to buy a gooseneck kettle or some sort of water kettle. That long spout gives you a little more control inside here, which is another reason to do a Chemex. It's just a little more precise, it's a little more controlled. And if I can get the camera here. I don't know if we can see that. And there we have it, just a slow, steady stream. Nothing more, nothing less. Just slowly topping it off. And you want to continue a slow, steady stream to, again, make sure it's not over-extracting or under-extracting, which can really affect your flavors. And there we have it. That's about done. It's a pretty easy process, but I hope I shed some light on some sort of misconceptions and everything, and I hope you guys appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing your guys' videos. Thank you.